Hello viewers, my name is Dr. Jessica Muthe of Elim Guidance and Psychological Services Center. Today I'll talk about warning signs that one could commit suicide around you. I begin by asking ourselves, what is suicide? Suicide, this is death caused by injuring oneself with intent to die or end one's life. There are some facts that I need to bring to you, viewer, so that you can know suicide is taking place in an alarming rate. Some facts that I need to share with you. One, research estimates that more than 800,000 people die to suicide every year. Suicide accounts for 1.4% of all deaths worldwide. It is also argued that it is actually the 15th leading cause of death globally. More men are seen to die than women by suicide every year. So there is a gender difference in how people commit suicide as far as research is concerned. At times, suicide deaths are actually not reported due to its sensitivity nature and taboo that still surrounds it. About 2.5% of the world population makes at least one suicide attempt during their lifetime. Now, what about in our country, Kenya? Suicide in Kenya, according to the World Health Organization report of 2020, 408 people die in Kenya yearly by suicide. However, these figures could even be higher, but some cases actually are not reported and may be documented. According to DCI data of 2021 July, the youngest Kenyan to commit suicide was 9-year-old person, while the oldest was 76 years old. The thread revealed during this time when the data was being documented, that the thread revealed sharp increase, considering that only 196 suicide cases were reported in the whole of the year 2019. A lot, of course, has happened during COVID-19 time. A lot of hopelessness, helplessness, job losses, opportunities losses, death of very close relatives, causing untold amount of frustrations that can lead to suicide increase rates. Now, going by the regions, because I'm talking about Kenya, I'm going by the regions. Central Kenya was listed to have the highest rate of suicide according to the DCI data in the offices. The region reported, this region called Central Kenya reported 181 cases, with Kiambu County recording 109 cases alone. That tells you the dangers involved in this kind of life. Now, data per region was also collected and reported by KDRTV News, and they put it as follows. They say Central Region still led with 181 cases in the same year. Rift Valley had 68 cases. Nyanza Province or Nyanza Region had 67 cases. Eastern Region had 57 cases. Western Region had 29 cases. Coast Region had 14 cases. Northeastern Region had 3 cases. And Nairobi Region had 120 cases. With this alarming data in mind, it's important to actually ask ourselves, what are some of the signs to look out for in one that can commit suicide around us? Now, a few signs may actually be, may be exhibited. One of them is an incident where somebody talks about suicide. For example, making statements such as, I'm going to kill myself, I wish I were dead, I wish I hadn't been born. Those kind of statements are not very interesting. And when they are made by a close relative or a friend, it is important for the caregiver to be concerned. The other sign that one would look out for is getting when one gets a means to take their own life, such as buying a gun, swallowing pills, bad chemicals that are not intended for use by humans, jumping from a high building, hanging themselves with a rope, moving to the highway to be ran on or over by a moving vehicle or moving car, jumping from a very high building. All these are some of the means by which people use to take their lives away. And as caregivers, it is important to be, again, alert by the observations we make with those that are around us. We are withdrawing from social contacts and wanting to be left alone all the time. This is something that we also need to note. If somebody looks all of a sudden isolated, closing themselves in a room all the day long, at night, taking meals sometimes in their room, and refusing any form of social contacts with the relatives or with the friends, it is a point of concern as far as suicide ideations are concerned. We are having mood swings, such as being emotionally very high one day and deeply discouraged the next day. This is also not very interesting. People that intend to commit suicide have very high mood swings, and as caregivers, again, we need to be concerned, or as friends, we need to be concerned when we discover or when we observe our friends, our relatives, our children have very high mood swings that have not been there in the past. Being preoccupied with death or dying or violence is also another sign to look out for. Feeling trapped and or hopeless about a situation. There are many situations that can come into one's life which could also make one feel trapped. And when such a thing happens, it will be important for the caregivers again, or friends, to actually try to help the person or move them to a mental health professional for help. Because anybody can be stuck in a situation and they become hopeless, disappointed, and they don't know how to come out of it. They can be assisted. Now, the other one is changing normal routine, including eating or sleeping patterns. This can also change where one goes to sleep and they are not able to catch sleep, or they keep the sleep, they get interrupted at night by lack of sleep, keep waking up, sleeping, waking up, and not being able to get enough sleep. It can be a sign that one is actually thinking too much, or they could be harboring suicide ideations. What about doing risky or self-destructive things like using drugs or driving carelessly? It is important to note that it's not everyone who looks like they are driving very speedily on the road that could be having suicide ideation, but at the same time, It can also be a point of concern because some people would want to actually drive carelessly and kill themselves. What about giving away belongings and getting affairs in order when there is no logical explanations for doing this? Some people would want to give away their prized items to friends because they don't want to live any longer. What about saying goodbye to people as if they want to be seen again? This is also another point of concern or a sign that one may actually be harboring suicide ideations and they do not want to live anymore. Now, developing a personality change or being severely anxious or agitated, this could also be another sign to look out for, where somebody is actually being very anxious, looking very agitated, and sometimes without a serious reason for it. This can also be considered as a pointer towards suicide. Now, when experiencing some of the warning signs above, which I have discussed, they may not always be obvious to everyone, but they may vary from person to person also. Some people may make their intentions very clear that they want actually to commit suicide, while others keep their thoughts and feelings in secret, and therefore it will be left to the caregiver to find out what is happening once you discover a change. Probably I may want to ask us, what do you do or how do you deal with above signs as a person or with a caregiver that is displaying the same? You may need to reach out to a loved one if it may be difficult to talk about your feelings, which normally is not very easy. But once you are near somebody or once you are near a professional, they will help you. They know how to get information or how to assist you speak about yourself or talk about yourself or tell out your story. And you could be assisted after that. Contact a minister, that is your spiritual leader, or someone in your faith community. This could also help you as a person. The other one is make an appointment with mental health experts or professionals. For example, you could talk to psychologists who have a counseling background. You could also talk to counselors and therapists. You could also talk to physicians who have a psychiatric orientation, and you could get some assistance. Now, I want you to note that suicide or suicide thinking does not actually get better on its own, and so you need to get help when you realize that such thoughts or such ideations are in your mind. Otherwise, thank you very much, and let's meet in the next video. Bye.